Wow, everybody's excited this morning because this was like out of left field. This was one team that wasn't even mentioned as a possibility in the sweepstakes of Chris Paul, who had decided to opt out of his contract and become a free agency, losing all of that money. So naturally, they're like, well, we're gonna get nothing out of Chris Paul. Paul had made the decision to pack it in and get out of it. I told you guys, him and Blake Griffin does not get along. A lot of players on that team don't like Chris Paul. They don't like him on the court. On the court, he's demanding. They think there's things that he could do a lot better as far as getting rid of the ball and moving it around faster. He's not that kind of point guard. He's the kind of point guard, a scoring point guard that likes the ball in his hands and dominate with it like Kyrie Irving. But he has great passing and great court vision, but health and staying on the court has normally been his concern down the long runs of every stretch. 5 straight years they have been winning a series and lost. That is a record. Nobody has lost more series than the Clippers when they were winning them. And I'm going to explain to you how this is a better deal for the Clippers than it is Houston. Everybody's so excited for Houston. I'm like, then we got Eric Gordon, we got Harden, and we got Chris Paul. We finna go to the chip. James Harden wasn't the main reason you were winning games. It's because your bench was outscoring the starters. And you just gave away Patrick Beverly, Lou Williams, and Sam Decker, and a 2018 first round pick for Chris Paul? That makes no sense. And they're saying, well, they're not done. Well, they can't be done, because if they were done, they would be done. Because you think Chris Paul is going to lead this team to beat Golden State? Really? To me, this is madness. Now they're saying that, oh, we're going to make a trade or make an offer. What else could you afford to give up? You're trying to build a starting five by depleting the bench. Bench wins NBA championships, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you that right now. If you don't have a spark on that bench, you're not going to win an NBA championship. Now, has it been done before where teams had a very weak bench and won, but they had one spark off that bench that came in the game? When the Bulls won their first championships, those first 3, you know who that spark was off the bench? Cliff Leviston. He was able to sustain, give them energy, play defense off that bench, and step in there and help them get over the hump. They didn't win anything before they got Cliff Livingston. He was key. He was veteran, scrappy on the boards, and he could score. And he was energized. Their second run, they had the best starting 5 veteran team in the NBA. But off the bench, Tony Kukoc, who was 6th man of the year, spearheaded a bench that could come in and score. Tony could distribute the ball. He could rebound. He could run the point. Tony Kukoc, for those 3 championships they won in Chicago, he deserved a lot more credit than what he got. So you're talking about these teams, but they had to have someone on the bench to come off the beat, a spark. And you were willing to defeat your entire bench As we seen with the Golden State Warriors, the bench wins championships. To close that game out, Durant hit some tough shots, but Iguodala scored 20 off the bench. Cleveland bench scored like maybe 7 points in the NBA Finals. Their bench scored like 45. That's where the game was lost. Of course, you're going to see Kevin Durant. You're going to see LeBron James. You're going to see all those guys are going to cross each other out. And it's going to come down to who's going to win it. So when you look at teams like the Houston Rockets, who are in the Western Conference, what do you have on your bench besides Eric Gordon that's going to get you over the top? Eric Gordon is a guy who likes the ball in his hands so he can catch and shoot. That's the guy who's a set shooter. He could put the ball on the ground, go to the basket. He's either going to be on or off. Chris Paul, who's ball dominant, how's he going to play with James Harden, who's another ball dominant guard? So you got two guys on the team that likes to dribble out at least 16 seconds on the clock. There's only 24 seconds on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to dribble for about 15 to 16 seconds each. How's it going to play out? Chris Paul has shown you throughout the years that he's not a guy that can finish. He's either going to get hurt, he's either going to get angry, and he's going to rub guys the wrong way. What happens when he rubs James Harden the wrong way on the basketball court? Harden's going to shut down because Harden don't really play defense. Chris Paul plays defense, but at his age, in basketball years, throughout the injuries, would you put him in the same boat as Steph Curry? Steph's 29. But would you put him in the same boat with Chris Paul right now? When Steph made Chris Paul fall, Chris Paul fell. Not just on the court, in people's minds. And they stepped right over him like Iverson did Tyronn Lue and went over to Steph Curry. It was his league. It was never a Chris Paul league. He was a great player in the league, but those CP3 days, they're done. And if you're the Clippers, you're like, we got rid of Chris Paul, who nobody here really liked. We still could get rid of Blake Griffin and get somebody else. We didn't lose anything. We got Patrick Beverly, who can come in. He can either start or be on the bench, and he can play defense. He knows sets. He can score. We got Lou Williams, who's instant offense. We can have him come off the bench. We got Sam Deckler, a forward, who can come in and give us minutes. We've just gotten better, ladies and gentlemen, by getting rid of one piece of the cancer, Chris Paul. And all of this talk about Jerry West not being in the room, who cares? If Jerry West was in the room or he wasn't in the room, what are they trying to say? Jerry West wasn't in on it? Jerry West probably was like, let him go. We got a new stadium we're finna get. We're going in a new direction. We're shipping this and taking it out a whole new door. That's the best deal they can get. They got a first-round draft pick next year from the idiot Houston Rockets. They just gave up a first-round draft pick and 3 players just for Chris Paul. I know they're laughing on their way to the bank. Who they gonna land? Paul George? That's gonna get Houston better than Golden State, because that's your ultimate goal. is you guys have to beat Golden State. Everybody in the West, their goal is we got to beat Golden State. And the way they play basketball, they can't contend. If Houston's up 20, they're going to lose by 20. Because they're going to play the same style of basketball. Individual one pass, shoot, and that's it. Nobody's trying to go in the paint and get a basket. Unless it's a crossover, take one-on-one move to get to the basket. You can't play one-on-one basketball and expect to beat the Golden State Warriors. History has shown you, tradition has shown you, if you don't move the basketball, you don't play team basketball, you're not going to win. Team basketball beats individual performance in a series every time. Every time. There's only so much an individual could do. As we've seen players have triple doubles, incredible numbers, and lose. Defense wins championships. Have to make stops. You have to communicate on defense. Have to work as a unit. Can't work as an individual with 4 supporting cast members. That's why OKC didn't win. You have a player that averaged 42 triple doubles in the NBA season. And what did it mean in the end? They were first round and out. They won one game. And that's it. Now we're going to look at the situation from a different point of view. Let's say they get LeBron James. Would that make this team any better? No. Houston won't win and won't beat Golden State. There's no player, one more player Houston could get that would change the tide. Only thing it does is make great headlines. If you're the Clippers, if you have LeBron James come in and play with the Clippers team, that team with the players they got could possibly contend with Golden State. That's if Blake decided to stay. Let's say Blake Griffin stay and they get LeBron James. They're right where they need to be. One player. LeBron can facilitate. He doesn't want to do all the work. He wants to share the load. So now when he goes and sit down, he can actually take a seat. You got Lou Williams that could come in there and give you instant offense. You got Patrick Beverly that's going to play defense on the guard position. You got Sam Deckler out there who could be an extra live body, plus the pieces you already have in place. Austin Rivers can start or come off the bench. Lou Williams could start. It depends on any way you want to play the game. Depends on who's in the game. I think the future is bright for the Clippers. They're finally on the right track to not decimating the team, but actually making the team better. And Chris Paul going to Houston will win some individual games. They will not beat Golden State. So if you're getting this and you're looking for a championship run, this isn't the way to go. But congratulations to the teams. They seem happy, but let's see what Houston does next. Because they say they're not done. And before we beat them all the way into the ground for this trade, let's wait and see what it plays out. Oh, yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to your boy Carcino and click the notification button. I'm out.